Listen, you have to be aware of the fact that we both hate you, right? Because we've been making it very hard on you forever now with how much we ignore and use you. Either you still haven't noticed or you must be very mentally strong then, huh? Being able to last this long with us living in the same house, tormenting you all the time. Have you not noticed that the both of us have been using you this whole time and will not stop until you drop dead?
You say that the both of you have hated me. Yet I feel that our son can't be blamed for that hate, right? He's just been following in your footsteps this whole time since you've been hating me for a very long time now. You're the one that started everything, and that's why I've been having to put up with so much for the past 18 years. I don't understand, though, why you're only starting to ask me about it now. What do you plan to achieve with this?
Hey, do you really believe something like that? The inside of your head is just filled with flowers, like I'd always assumed. I didn't think you'd lost your sanity as much as you have.
My head is filled with flowers? I have been very much aware of everything for a long time now, and have put a lot of thought into the both of you. That's why I've been wanting to talk to you about some of it for a while now. But anytime I'd ask to have a chat about how you guys treat me, both of you would ignore me. Actually, you'd both ignore me all the time, no matter what it was I said. Yet when it came to things like me not cooking something well enough, you'd explode. Things have really been hell for me here.
Of course things have been. We're the ones allowing you to live with us here after all. And when it comes to your job as my wife, as his mother, you have to be perfect or else. Or else we will seriously begin to rethink your worth in this family. Although with how much you've aged, both mentally and physically, you're really just getting in the way now, you old hag.
You never told me things like that in the past. Why have you started to call me an old hag now? Is this the reason why our son hasn't grown out of his rebellious phase at all yet?
Are you really saying something like that to me now? The guy has already graduated from college and is working now. Do you realize that him still being in a rebellious phase at his age makes no sense at all? He's past being in that phase a long time ago, woman.
I know that, Connor. That's why I find it very strange that he's still acting like a child. Sure, it's not rare for sons to not want to listen to everything their mom has to say to them. But he's never really been the one to get upset with me when I don't cook something perfectly for him. And instead of getting out of the house to cause trouble, he's been staying home to play video games while I did the chores. He's always been a really good kid, just with a bit of a childish side to him caused by someone else.
You only think of him that way so you don't get harmed mentally. But haven't you heard some of the things he's been saying to you along with me? You really have been such an eyesore to us, working like a slave that has never had a clue.
Calling me an eyesore and a slave now? I know. I've been used and abused as your wife for many years now. But has that been the way you've always looked at me?
I knew you never had a clue about anything. I always thought you were pretty dull and all, but... But I never thought that you were so dull, that you would make it this far without ever realizing that you've been getting used like a slave.
I just assumed that as long as I did my job correctly and continued to, there would never be any serious problems between us. I felt that by not fighting back against you, things would remain calm.
Yeah, you would do a lot of the chores without any flaws and would never accept any money from me, working part-time to make your own, but you never saw yourself as our slave before? And that doesn't even include the fact that you were also being made to give up some of your money to us!
Well, I guess you were forcing me to have to give up some of that money to the both of you. But I just assumed that I should since I was your wife, and that all the money we earned was meant for the whole family to use.
Wow, I really did a good job choosing you to become my slave then. And maybe being a slave to us was what you were really meant to do, right? That's your duty in this household.
I don't think...
But that life you've had as our hated slave is well over with now. Get to work unpacking all your things, please.
What? What did you just say? What did you mean by saying that to me? Hey, Connor! What is this all about, Connor? All of these suitcases in the trash bin outside. These are all... they're filled with all my things.
Oh, so you finally come around to finding all of that. I hope you had a good day at work today. Did you really think you could come back home to this house today, though? Well, that's not the case for you anymore now. Think of that as us saying that you are no longer a part of this household anymore. And as for that divorce paperwork I had you fill out and sign, I went and handed it into the courthouse today. That marks the end of my relationship to you now, which means that you and I are no longer married.
So this all really is my stuff in here? That old-fashioned mirror that I got from my grandmother long ago is also smashed to pieces. You threw that in here knowing very well it would break my heart seeing it broken, right?
Well, of course I knew it would break your heart. Until now, you had done a really good job working as my slave. I still can't believe you made it a whole 18 years living with the both of us while being hated. But I've put an end to the pathetic life of a man and his son having to live in a house where an ugly old hag was living with them every day. I had enough of you always standing around acting like you were a part of us, so I made sure to toss everything of yours. Get the hell out of town now.
All right, I'm leaving then.
I want you gone by the end of today.
Seriously, I never thought that you'd be so ruthless that you'd take things this far with me, though. This really is the end of you and I.
I've been making that pretty obvious this whole time, right? All you are is an old hag that has done nothing but work your butt off in our house while only barely being able to make enough money for yourself. I'm not sure how you'll be able to survive out there on your own, though. But you have nothing to do with me now, so I could care less if you ended up dropping dead tomorrow. Our son was also able to find himself a proper job today. That means that his and my life are now completely in the clear from here on out. We have zero use for you now.
I see. So that's why you kept me around, you guys, until today? Just needed to use me until you could be totally sure that he found a good job and wouldn't need my money anymore.
That's absolutely right. But now you and us will be nothing but strangers to one another. I don't want you to ever come around either one of us again after today. You're losing both your family and your house now, so I'm sure you'll go rot under some bridge now in despair. But since we have nothing to do with you anymore, you can't come begging for our help.
Understood, Connor. I have no plans of ever coming back to beg for help from either one of you. Therefore, this is goodbye forever.
Hey! You have to know something about this, right? My whole entire house, it's been completely bulldozed over. There's not a single piece of it left standing. I just got home from work and the whole place is just rubble.
Who is this?
This is not the time to be screwing around with me, you old hag. I'm your ex-husband, Connor, damn it. And right now, my freaking house is gone. Did you use someone to get back at me for what happened yesterday, and that's why the house is no more? Or could I have missed something? I have no idea what's happened here or why it happened.
Aren't you and I supposed to be complete strangers to one another now? You seem to be in a lot of trouble now, and it's gotten you all wound up, To the point that you had to start texting a complete stranger about everything because you had no idea what you were doing with your hands. Compared to what you said to me yesterday, what you're doing today is the complete opposite, no?
This is not the time for you to be so carefree. My whole freaking house just got demolished before I got home. This has to be your fault, right?
Blaming me already? Even though you know nothing at all, it seems? How rude. Well, what's happened there was all a part of my plan indeed.
What? What do you mean by that?
You started to live in that house about 20 years ago, right? Which means that you've probably forgotten all about what happened back then that allowed you to live in such a place. That house belonged to me and was under my name the whole 20 years that you'd been living in it. And it was you that started to live in it without asking me for permission, yet I had no choice but to let you be. Do you not remember a single thing about what all went down back then, Connor?
Is that right? Well, even if that really was the case... Wait, so this was really your house?
Did you think that we had been renting that place the whole time? And had we, did you just think that I was the one paying all of the rent every month because you didn't have to?
Actually, I did kind of think you were paying the rent for it.
You really are the most pathetic man imaginable, Connor. But I always knew you were the worst man out there and that you just assumed the house was never mine.
What? Then does that mean you went and destroyed the house without telling me first?
I never had to tell you anything, did I? The house was my house, and that land is my land. And when it comes to my house and land, I had every right to do whatever I pleased with it, without needing to ask you for permission first. Of course, I was never going to just let you stay in my house after going and kicking me out of it without talking to me first. I originally was going to have that whole debate with you about how you needed to leave, but I assumed that would be too much trouble considering the pain in the butt you are. So the easier thing for me to do was to have it demolished by some bulldozers.
I'm not screwing around right now, woman. There's no way someone could just do that to a family's house and not feel any remorse. Have you gone completely mad now?
You think that it's me who's gone mad? I believe you meant to say that you've gone mad and needed someone to help wake you up from your wild hallucination. You were going around handing in our divorce papers without asking me about it and throwing all of my things into the trash without asking me. And way back in the day, you just came into my house and started living in it like you had the right to do so without my permission. All of that has been your wild hallucination, and you needed me to get you out of it. Did you think this all started because of me, Connor? Of course it didn't. It all started with you and that mad head you have on you.
I'm not playing around! What would have happened if my son and I were in the house still today when you had the bulldozers come? Would you just let the bulldozers go and run over a family in their home?
I knew that you guys weren't going to be home today, and that's why I went through with it. So stop your worrying. I already had the knowledge of where you'd both be covered before going ahead with my plans. I mean, I didn't want to murder two people in broad daylight today.
Huh? What do you mean by that?
I mean just what I said. I knew that you both would be going out with one other person today to that really fancy restaurant, and that's why I was able to make my move.
How did you know there were 3 of us today, though? Why do you, of all people, know about that?
You're asking me why? Because I made sure to have the investigation finished up a long time ago, Connor.
Investigation?
Last month you told me it would be best if I started to get all my things together, right? You also were trying very hard to rub it in my face that you not only hated me, but were using me as a slave and things like that. When that happened, I knew something more serious was going on behind the scenes with you. So I went and had a look at what it could be.
Excuse me? I want to know what you did, though, to find all of this out.
For the past 20 years, I've always been so busy taking care of things for you, your son, and myself. So busy, in fact, that I never had any time to think about you or notice what all was going on around me besides what I was forced to do. But when you brought those things up to me in such a way that was meant to drive a stake through my heart, I finally had my eyes opened. You were trying with all your might to get me to leave you so that you wouldn't have to struggle with me anymore. In other words, based off that motive you had, I knew there was another woman in your life.
Huh? Wait, I have no idea what you mean by that. What are you talking about?
Freaking out now and trying to hide the truth won't work. I told you that the whole investigation has been concluded on you, so it's not worth it. And today, you were a very busy man having to show our son to your girlfriend. That's why you got a reservation at that really fancy restaurant and had him and her meet there. Of course, you were also there to celebrate your divorce from me, right? Which is why the three of you had a blast there, eating and talking about how horrible of a woman I'd been.
There's no way that's what happened. I would never.
I have all the evidence I need in both video and photo form. So I'm not kidding when I say it really is a huge waste of your time coming up with those lame excuses for why you were with her today. I even have audio evidence that I had recorded. You can't run from me now.
Why would you? Did you follow us out to that restaurant or something today?
Are you kidding me? I could never do something as shameful as that. I made sure to have a pro go out and do that for me and get all the evidence I would need in order to obtain victory later on. That's why I even have evidence of the plans you had with her to go out and stay at those hotels on dates with one another.
You hired someone to stalk us? When did you do that? Was it really because of all that useless crap I said to you before that made you realize?
Yes, that's what I was saying to you just a minute or two ago. And that is why I'll now be able to take out a large chunk of your money as a settlement. Make sure to have me my lovely present ready when this divorce goes through, all right?
A settlement? Wait a sec, I just lost my damn house today!
You mean you lost my house today, right? And so what that you did? To me, none of your problems that have started to form today have anything to do with my life. Also, it was you that said this first, right? You will both lose your family and your home and will have to go live under a bridge somewhere in despair. And then you followed that up by saying that you guys would both be complete strangers to me, so I couldn't come back begging for help, right? Right?
That was...
I'm going to say the same thing back to you now, after having said that with such confidence to me. You and I are both complete strangers to one another now, so don't come back to me begging for any help.
No way! Why did I have to run my mouth like that?
I really was busy with all sorts of things back when I was married to you. But don't think that meant I never noticed how you both treated me like a complete outcast there. Of course I knew. But no matter how often I tried talking with you both, you never gave me a chance to. I tried time and time again to ask why you would do that to me, but after so many attempts, I just gave up on it entirely. You both thought you had finally gotten to me and were able to use me to do all the chores and such without ever saying a word. But really, I started to focus on something else entirely that got me to the point I'm at now.
What the hell? You're making it sound like you became enlightened or something back then, and now you're rubbing that in my face, even though you had to work your ass off making money that would go to the two of us.
Yes, that's right. The start was especially hard for me. I had to work on getting back into the groove of working after having thrown my career away to have our son. And while also having to clean for you both, cook for you both, do all sorts of menial tasks for you both. But while I was going through all that pain and heartache, you were just sitting there not having to sacrifice anything because you knew you had me as your slave. I had to sacrifice a whole lot for our son and for the both of you afterwards. And as time went on, our son grew older and my workload increased even further. You'd spend more time out of the house drinking and playing around. Then whenever you'd come home, you'd roll your eyes at all the hard work I was doing, while having our son join in with you as you talked crap about me.
That was all. You're a woman, so I had no other option. As a woman, you have to make your own money, and some of that has to go to us men.
We were both having to work jobs, yet most of my money would go to you guys, while I would have to do every single chore in that house. Are you just saying that all happened because you're still living in the early 20th century mentally?
What did you say?
I never really had the time to spend talking with someone who wasn't worth talking to begin with, Connor. That's why I went and sent some bulldozers over to tear down my house filled with horrors. Had I actually tried to reason with you, I would have only been creating more stress for myself. And we would have never been able to come to any sort of an agreement, so... When you went and threw out all my things like that, you went and got on my last nerve. Right after you finished talking to me about that, I went and had the land sold and the house planned for demolishing.
You thought that having such pride in a plan like that was a good thing?
Well, it worked out for me in the end, right? Look at your reality now, Connor. You just lost the place you'd been living in and will now fall into a life of deep despair, right? But there's still a chance that won't happen, right? I mean, you still have your career and you have a new family member now. I'm going to get that settlement from you, though, so you'll be losing a lot of your money that you've been saving up. But you'll still have your career, unlike me, and a family, unlike me. So you're doing just fine compared to where I'm at right now.
My girlfriend was really looking forward to coming and living in a massive house like this, yet you went and tore it all down without my permission.
And you think your sucky situation has anything to do with me right now? If you're so worried about what she's going to think when she finds out, then why not buy your own house for her to have? I don't even understand why you think I should be feeling bad for you, when you were the one that took everything away from me.
You're a bitch, Leah. Doing something so utterly selfish as this. You really are such an unnecessary old hag. From the bottom of my heart, I know I was right for divorcing you.
And I feel the exact same way, which is just wonderful for the both of us then, right? I'm so happy I got a divorce from such a selfish man like you. Now good luck with whatever you decide to do next. After what you've done for me, I am so grateful. Not only did you help me with things like having the land under my house sold, but you got a team together to come and tear down my house today for me. You had to go through a lot of trouble in order to do such a thing for me, which I'm sure was not easy for you to accept at all. Next time, I'll make sure to treat you to whatever you'd like as my way of saying thank you.
No. A lot of this was possible thanks to all the hard work you put in, Leah. Good work today. There was a lot that had to happen for this all to work out for you, which I'm sure put your mind through large amounts of stress. You've already paid us very kindly for the work, and all of that was just a part of my job, which I was so happy to do for you.
But the fact that you were willing to do so much for me in such little time requires my deepest appreciation. I also have to thank you for introducing me to some of your best friends that helped make this possible for me. I'll have to tell Andrew thanks as well for showing you to me in the first place.
That is very true. He was the one that helped start this whole entire plan of yours by introducing the both of us. And I never thought that you'd be able to work with us so easily and have the means of buying from us like that. Whichever way one thinks about all of this, I am very thankful to have worked with you.
And I'm very thankful to have worked with you as well, Cameron. Thank you so very much for showing me this lovely new home. This is just the kind of place I was hoping for, so thank you.
I just never thought that things would come this far with you, Leah. I'm sure that now, having finished all of the plans we'd made, your ex-husband is in great shock. Being handed back all that trouble he'd been giving you in one day.
Well, I'm sure he's never going to recover from it. He should have just appreciated all that I had put up with while around him. Then none of this would have ever had to go his way.
You're 100% right about that. I can't believe he even treated someone like you in such a terrible way. I mean, I have never even seen a woman as cool as you before. Having heard your story and everything you had to endure, I will be rooting for you for the rest of my life.
And thanks to your support, everything was able to work out perfectly in my favor. Through the help of keeping my husband unaware, I was able to move in the shadows, planning everything I needed to happen out. And sure, I may have lost many things along the way to here, but at least now I have freedom, and that's something I'd never want to live the rest of my life without. Of course, all of this led to me meeting you, Cameron, and that is something else I'd find far more valuable than what I lost.
Hearing you say such a beautiful thing makes me so happy. If you have any time in the near future, would you like to go out to dinner with me? Since everything we had worked on ended up going perfectly for you, I would like to take you out as a celebration for all your hard work.
Thank you so much, Cameron. And of course, I'd love to treat you to dinner as well, as a celebration for everything you contributed.
Please, Leah, come back to me, please. Things have only gotten worse for us now.
Who is this?
We do not have to play that game anymore, all right? It's me, all right? You still remember me, don't you? I'm your ex-husband, Connor. If nothing changes for me right now, then my family is going to be completely ruined.
I see. Well, I don't care about any of that, so good day to you. By the way, the fact that you're once again trying to trouble me with your problems now, I'm blocking you.
Listen to me, please! My wife is really cute and super young, but she doesn't know how to do any of the housework here. She's also asking me all the time for money to get her skin treated and her hair done, even though she won't bother working herself. And when it comes to our son, he wasn't doing all of his required assignments at work and just got fired from that company last week. Now all he's doing is sitting in his room again playing video games and won't come out for anything besides food. I asked my wife to iron my suit one time and she destroyed it. And when she cooks, she puts way too much spice into everything. I'm starting to have troubles myself at work now because of what's been going on with my family at home, and if things do not get better, I'll be screwed for the rest of my life, too.
Good. Now you can finally see how important I was to the both of you, being able to do everything perfectly, right?
I can see that now, and that's why I need you to come back to me. Please, 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 you are important to me.
Before anything else happens here, how about you apologize to me? Actually, forget about that, because no amount of apologizing will ever get me to go back to you. I found myself a new man now, who is far better than you. And my new happy life has finally started to take off with him. Just hearing about how you're finally falling into the pits of hell has me feeling all warm and joyful again. Oh, this really is the best feeling ever. Now please, continue falling until you reach the bottom of those pits. And spend the rest of your life there, regretting all you've done. Due to my ex-husband's life turning to complete hell, he was no longer able to attend to all the responsibilities he had in the office and was transferred to an entry-level position there, making barely any money at all. And let's just say that's not all that would start to happen to him after I blocked his number. I then made sure to have my lawyer contact Connor and get that settlement I'd been telling him about, which I then used to pay off a large portion of my new house, which has led to me really enjoying this new life I have now, along with my new man who, by the way, can actually cook and do some chores himself. Actually, Cameron is the man that I'm with now, and due to the fact that we've been doing so well together, I think I might just let him marry me. I'm sure he'll start bringing up talks about that really soon, but I can't let all of that get into my mind completely quite yet, as I only just got divorced. First, I need to make sure I have the life I want with him, and he's aware of my needs, before we get anywhere with something such as marriage. It is very interesting how for the past 20 years I'd been living through hell, while Connor got to enjoy having himself a slave at home who he could do whatever he wanted with. And now I'm the one that's living a wonderful life full of joy and freedom, while Connor gets to have a taste of hell. It feels fantastic that I was able to take him down so easily. And I hope he likes the taste of hell, because there really won't be any crawling back out of those deep pits. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.